preliminary orbit. Stage 2 ignition on the Antares rocket is scheduled at about the 4-minute, 7-second mark into the flight. It will burn for 2 minutes and 44 seconds until Stage 2 burnout occurs, putting Cygnus into its initial orbit, with the Cygnus vehicle itself separating from the second stage of Antares at about the 9-minute, 9-second mark into the flight. The Ultraflex solar arrays on Cygnus are scheduled to be deployed about 2 hours and 8 minutes into the mission. We will not be on the air live during that activity. It's about a 30-minute procedure. We will, however, provide updates on the web on nasa.gov and the station blog site when solar array deploy is completed later this evening. If everything goes as planned, Cygnus again will arrive in the wee hours Monday morning at the International Space Station, arriving along the intersection called the R-bar, the radial vector, which is an imaginary line drawn between the International Space Station and the Earth. The Cygnus will arrive about 400 feet directly below the station and inchworm its way up to the point where Cassidy will use the robotic arm to reach out and grapple the resupply craft. The capture of Cygnus is scheduled right now at 4:20 a.m. Central Time, 5:20 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday morning.
And off to LC countdown.
Go ahead, LC.
Yeah, just be advised, step 386 will be required for today's op.
Copy that.
On F1 N level.
LC 41, countdown on standby.
As we approach the 17-minute mark into the countdown, propellant loading is complete. You see the venting at the interstage area of the two-stage Antares rocket. Everything continues to be green across the board at Wallops. The weather is perfect. Everything all set for Antares to begin its flight to deliver the Cygnus resupply vehicle to its preliminary orbit.
And CMDLC countdown 1.
LC Core 1, countdown 1.
Go ahead, Core 1.
Fuel level adjustment is not required.
Copy, not required. Go ahead and check 382. And prop 2, step 383. Configure OCCS for no adjustment to fuel level. CMDLC countdown 1. Off to the CMD. Yeah, you go for step 385. You can transfer Cygnus to launch mode.
LC
CMD
is
in
Prop 2.
1.
LC, this is Prop 2 and countdown 1. OCCS configured for no adjustment to fuel level.
At T-minus 16 minutes and counting, those calls from the Range Control Center engineers for Northrop Grumman indicate that the fuel loading for the Antares rocket is at the proper level, into stable replenish now. No adjustment for fuel required this evening, and Cygnus is about to go on internal power. Tonight's launch kicks off a very busy period of activity at the International Space Station. Again, a launch tonight results in Cygnus arriving at the station in the wee hours Monday morning. That will be followed in a couple of weeks by a Soyuz crew rotation, as we mentioned, with Kate Rubins of NASA and her 2 Russian crewmates scheduled to launch October 14th from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan for a 2-orbit rendezvous, a 3-hour fast-track journey to the International Space Station. that will kick off an 8-day handover with Chris Cassidy and his two Russian crewmates, Anatoly Ivanishin and Ivan Wagner, who we said a moment ago are in the home stretch of their 6.5-month mission on the station. They'll be returning to Earth on the night of October 21st, U.S. time. And right on the heels of that, on October 31st, on the 20th.
T-minus 15 minutes. We'll be coming up on our polling for our final count, proceeding with our final countdown in just about 2 minutes.
On the 20th anniversary of the launch of Expedition 1, Bill Shepard, Yuri Gudzenko, and Sergei Krikalev. On October 31st, the Crew 1 mission is scheduled to launch aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. The Resilience Crew Dragon spacecraft with Mike Hopkins, Victor Glover, Shannon Walker, and Soichi Noguchi on board, scheduled to arrive at the International Space Station on November 1st. T-minus 14 minutes and counting.
And CMD, I'll wait for your call on 387.
This is CMD. Cygnus is in launch mode and nominal.
Copy that, CMD. We'll check step 387 complete.
Here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, a final go has been passed on to Flight Director T.J. Creamer by the Cygnus Mission Director in Dulles. Both Antares and Cygnus are go for launch. At this hour, the International Space Station flying 258 miles over the South Atlantic, about to swing just to the south of the continent of Africa. Again, at the time of launch, at 8:16 and 14 seconds p.m. Central Time, the station and its 3 residents who are asleep at this hour will be flying over the southern Indian Ocean.
Step 388. At this time, I want to poll to proceed with final countdown. GSO,
GSO, go.
RSO,
RSO's go.
TD,
TD is go.
prop lead,
Prop lead is go.
stage 1,
Stage 1 is go.
MES1,
MES1 is go.
GCE,
GCE is go.
ACE,
ACE is go.
Mars,
Mars is go.
CMD,
CMD is go.
LD,
LD is go.
NG.
In honor of Kaufman Chopra, whose research on astronaut health and safety during spaceflight helped pave the way for humans to live and work in space, Northrop Grumman is go.
Copy that, Northrop Grumman. We are go to proceed with final countdown. Check step 388. Ops 2, LC, be advised, step 389 is not required for today's operation. Step 390 will not be required for today's operation.
And Ops 2 copy.
Coming up on the T-minus 11-minute mark, that final poll for launch conducted at the Range Control Center at the Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia, as Antares is set to begin its journey of about 9 minutes in duration to deliver the Cygnus resupply craft to its preliminary orbit.
And passing T-minus 11 minutes.
Coming up on the T-minus 10-minute mark, fuel loading complete. The weather is perfect. Everything is all set to begin the journey of Cygnus to the International Space Station. No issues being worked in the Range Control Center at Wallops Island, Virginia, or at Dulles, Virginia, where the Cygnus spacecraft team for Northrop Grumman monitoring Cygnus' systems, ready to take over at the time of spacecraft separation just over 9 minutes after launch.
And Ops 1, Step 391, enable ACS VDMs.
LC Ops 1, ECS BDM's internal power on.
ECS BDMs enabled, voltage nominal, command cleared.
Copy that. Left 1, check 391, check 392. And launch team be advised, Step 393 will not be required for today's operation.
Once Cygnus arrives at the International Space Station in the wee hours Monday morning and is grappled and then installed and bolted into place, a series of leak checks at the berthing interface between Cygnus and the Unity module will be conducted by NASA astronaut and station commander Chris Cassidy, making sure that we have a tight seal between the Cygnus and the station before he begins the process of opening the hatch to Cygnus and the start of the unloading of the most time-critical experiments and supplies that are being brought up on the Cygnus resupply vehicle.
Copy Flight Control, check Step 392.
Coming up on the 7.5 minute mark until launch. Passing through 7 minutes until launch.
T-minus 7 minutes. And out 2, you go to initialize ground ordnance power supply.
LC Ops 2, ground ordnance power supplies initialized.
Ground ordnance, power supplies, nominal.
LC properly, CCSO activation verified.
Copy all aircraft lead ops 2, elect 1, check 395, 396, and 397.
T-minus 6 minutes and counting. Northrop Grumman preparing to provide Friday night lights down the eastern seaboard. Everything is go for launch.
Flight control, FA, ECS transfer, GN2 confirmed.
Roger that, Site Control, check Step 398. And launch team be advised, Step 399 not required for today's operation.
Coming up on the T-minus 5 minute mark.
T-minus 5 minutes, Ops 1, transfer avionics to internal power.
LC Ops 1, avionics internal power on. Stand by for command completion. LC Ops 1, external power off.
Internal power's nominal. Range is green.
T-minus 4 minutes and counting. Everything in order. No issues being worked at the Range Control Center at Wallops.
Lancio, be advised, phase 3 dynamic limits will be active at T-minus 3 minutes.
SC command is in flight mode.
T-minus 3 minutes and counting.
Auto sequence start. Guardian bus voltages and currents nominal.
Copy all leg 1. TNC-1, verify ready for nav mode.
LC, GNC-1, orbit nav ready for nav.
Roger that. Ops 2, step 414, switch to nav.
LC, Ops 2, orbit nav, switch to nav.
Copy that. Ops 2, check 414.
LC, GNC-1, orbit nav, flown to 205.
Roger that. GNC-1.
Coming up on the T-minus 2 minute mark, Antares systems in excellent shape, no issues.
T-minus 2 minutes on my mark. Mark.
.90 seconds until launch.
T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds. T-minus 1 minute.
Well into the terminal count, T-minus 50 seconds and counting.
T-minus 30 seconds. Mark.
T-minus 15 seconds.
T-minus 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do we have engine ignition?
Engine start and liftoff. The SS Kalpna-Chawla takes flight, sights set on the International Space Station. Pitch and roll programmer in.
Vehicle systems are nominal. Engines at 100%. Attitude nominal. Vehicle systems nominal. Engines are steady and nominal. 100%.
Altitude 20,000 feet.
1 minute into the flight, everything looking good on Antares.
Passing through max Q, attitude nominal. Engines at 100.
Antares passing through the area of maximum dynamic pressure.
50,000 feet. Attitude nominal. All vehicle subsystems are nominal.
Coming up on the 2-minute mark into the flight, everything looking good.
Just passing 100,000 feet. Attitude nominal. Vehicle subsystems nominal. Engines remain at 100%. Attitude nominal. Vehicle subsystems nominal.
Good reports from the Range Control Center at Wallops.
30 seconds to throttle down.
Throttle down is the precursor to main engine cutoff for the first stage. Coming up on the 3-minute mark into the flight.
Engines at 55% thrust.
Standing by for main engine cutoff on the first stage.
Main engine cutoff. Stage 1 separation. Attitude nominal.
Stage 1 separation confirmed from the Range Control Center. Antares flying straight and true.
Antares in coast phase until proper conditions for fairing separation and stage 2 ignition are achieved.
Fairing separation confirmed. Cygnus now exposed to the atmosphere as it continues its trek uphill to its preliminary orbit.
Stage 2 ignition.
This will be about a 2-minute 44-second burn of the second stage engine.
Attitude nominal. Attitude nominal. Vehicle subsystems nominal. 140 kilometers.
Coming up on the 5-minute mark into the flight.
All systems continue nominal. Altitude 150 kilometers. All systems nominal.
The second stage burnout is scheduled at about the 6-minute 51-second mark into the flight.
Altitude 170 kilometers, roughly 1 minute to stage 2 burnout. Altitude, 184 kilometers. All systems nominal. Roughly 30 seconds to stage 2 burnout.
Six minutes, 40 seconds into the flight, standing by for stage 2 burnout.
Stage 2 tail-off. Stage 2 burnout.
And Cygnus has reached the preliminary orbital insertion.
Antares will coast for roughly 100 seconds prior to payload separation.
And as you heard, the next major event will be Cygnus's separation from the second stage.
Attitude nominal.
Cygnus has begun its journey to reach the International Space Station early Monday morning.
All vehicle subsystems nominal. Altitude, 191 kilometers. Roughly 1 minute to payload separation.
Liftoff occurred right on the dime at 8:16 and 14 seconds p.m. Central Time, 9:16:14 p.m. Eastern Time. The International Space Station and its 3 crew members who are asleep at this hour approaching the southwest coast of Australia.
Altitude remains 192 kilometers. Roughly 30 seconds to payload separation. All systems nominal.
At the time of Cygnus's separation from the second stage, the operations will move to Dulles, Virginia, and the Cygnus Flight Control Room under the direction of Mission Director Zach Dwyer.
Cygnus separation.
Spacecraft separation confirmed. The SS Kalpana Chawla well on its way to the International Space Station.
CCAM initiated. Attitude nominal. LC, ace out.